couple of decades ago, most of us just needed a bike and a paper map and away we went. But spoiler alert, times have changed and now technology has infiltrated pretty much every corner of our lives. Now, I'm quite a mid-level tech user, like I don't have a power meter or Bluetooth pedals or anything like that, but there are a few cycling tech gadgets that I do not leave the house without anymore, and here they are. Number 1. Planning tools. Now, I don't use paper maps anymore because 1, I only have a few, and 2, I don't want to whip out a paper map every time I need to take a turn, but I do still use mapping tools. I do all my route planning on a laptop because I'm a millennial and route planning on my phone is just too fiddly most of the time. But I also like to switch between route planning services, and that's much easier to do in browser tabs than it is on applications on your phone. So I start off all my route planning on Komoot, but you can use Strava, AllTrails, Wikiloc, whatever you want. They're all quite similar. And then if I'm planning a route in the UK, I will also open up the OS Maps I was going to say app, I guess it's not, it's in your web browser. So the OS Maps browser, and I'm a subscriber to OS Maps because they are so good and a subscription is pretty cheap. It's like £25 a year or something. It only works in Great Britain, so it doesn't include Northern Ireland. But if you're cycling in Great Britain, it is phenomenal, as I'm sure most of you know if you're based in the UK. And then if I'm planning a route that has cafe stops in it, which let's face it, all of them do, I will also probably open up Google Maps as well, because there's just nothing better than Google Maps for place like shops, cafes, that kind of thing. Like Google Maps has them all listed on the map. They show up really easily. You can search them. You can even search for opening hours and opening days. You can filter cafes by that on Google Maps, which is very useful, particularly if you're riding on a Sunday. And then I have these 3 things open at the same time so I can switch between them, pull all the information I want into the one I'm using to actually navigate. So in my case, it's usually Komoot. And then I'll finalize the route there and then download the GPS or navigate with Komoot itself. On a lot of those route planning apps, you can usually export the GPX file, so you can then upload it into what you actually use to navigate, whether that's your phone, your GPS device, whatever. So basically, laptop mapping software, boom. The second cycling tech gadget that I love, and I mean love, is my Garmin Fenix 7S Sapphire, and that is this bad boy. I bought this several years ago, I want to say 2021, which is wild now because that was about 4 years ago, but genuinely it was very expensive and I do not regret it at all. It is one of my favourite things in the whole world. I would rescue it from a fire. I wear this watch on every single one of my rides. In fact, I wear it all the time anyway. I've just taken it off for the benefit of this video. But I wear it on every single one of my rides, even though I don't actually use it for navigation when I'm riding. I do for running, but not when I'm riding my bike. And I always wear it and it's always tracking my ride because it tracks heart rate, endurance levels, and all the other kind of physical goings on, for want of a better word, on top of all the actual ride stats like distance, elevation, speed, stuff like that. Because I wear it all the time and it keeps a general overview of my physical health, exercise related stuff, I need to wear it on all of my rides so it just knows what's going on, knows what I'm actually up to. Now, I chose this specific watch because it was really good for triathlon, which I was doing at the time, but it also has an amazing battery life, which has been great for my cycle tours, as well as super accurate GPS and a ton of other stuff. I just love it. I honestly would never hesitate to recommend this to anyone who does a lot of sport. And you can see my review of it up here. What's particularly unique about this watch though, is that it actually fits on my ludicrously, embarrassingly tiny childlike wrists, which is surprisingly difficult in the sport watch world. And that's why it's the 7S and not the Fenix 7, because the S stands for small, I think. It is super tough and I can attest to that because I have dropped it many times and it has no scratches on it whatsoever. I wear it in all my daily life and I brush it against things, and I'm generally not clumsy, but I am slightly blind, so you know, things occur, and it has never scratched. Only the actual bezel itself has got tiny nicks in it over the last 4 years. It's also the solar version, so it will charge in sunlight ever so slightly, which I don't know in reality how good that is or how much I get out of it, but it's nice to have that function there too. Okay, side note, did you know how much of an impact it makes when you subscribe to this channel? It helps other people find it helps me make more videos, it just helps everything. So if you're not a subscriber already, please consider subscribing because it does have a huge impact on helping other people get out on bike rides. Let's go to gadget number 3 because this is a good one. Oh, hello. This is a relatively new purchase for me. I bought it maybe 2 months ago, maybe more than that now. I don't know, time is very tricky at the moment. Before I bought this, I'd been using my phone to navigate exclusively for years on the bike, and that didn't really work out very well because my phone's battery life is not great. It's definitely not great when it's navigating, and it's kind of useful for other phone related stuff. So it seemed prudent finally to just cave and buy myself a GPS bike computer, and that is what I finally have here. This is the Garmin Edge Explore 2. Fancy. Now I bought this one because I already know and like Garmin because of my Fenix 7S watch, so I know the ecosystem, I know how to use it, I know the controls, blah 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 blah. But mainly it's because it has quite a big screen, which is really useful when you're just glancing down very quickly to see where you're going next. And it also has touch control, which I really like because I don't want to be faffing around with buttons when I'm riding, especially as I get very cold, numb hands in winter and spring and autumn. And sometimes summer if I'm going downhill. In fact, I was out cycling yesterday in 27 degrees and I managed to get numb hands going down a descent. To be fair, it was a 900-meter descent, but still, it was 27 degrees. So buttons are not for me, touchscreens much better, and this is touchscreen. The other reason that I bought it is because it has maps on it, and that is very good for me. I'm not a big fan of just turn arrow directions. That helps sometimes if the route is quite simplistic, but I really like to see all the other roads around so I can actually get a better understanding and overview of where I am and where I actually need to go. And I am planning on doing a full review of this, but for now, let me say that the other reason why I really like it, and I didn't buy it because of this because I didn't know about it, but it has this elastic safety cord, and I just really love that because as much as the Garmin mount is absolutely rock solid, I am in no way afraid of it coming out of that mount. It is like quad lock level great. I still don't like the idea of my 200-pound device crashing onto the road. So I use this and it just tucks over the handlebars and loops in itself, and it's just nice peace of mind. The next two are really YouTube based, but these are honestly the gadgets that I do not leave the house without when I'm going for a bike ride, so I had to include them. The first one is what I'm filming this on right now, and that is my GoPro. Now I've been filming with GoPros almost the entire time. I started this YouTube channel a few years ago now. Ugh. Scary. And I filmed on a series of three. Why did I have to check how many fingers I was holding up then? 3 GoPros, because I buy them secondhand and they inevitably die or get too glitchy to use, and so I have to get another one. You might say, buy cheap, pay twice, but you would be right there. Yep, you would be right. Anyway, this one I'm filming on right now is a GoPro Hero Black, which I do like. It has a front, I can't show it to you because I'm literally filming, but it has a front screen which is kind of useful to line up the shot really easily because obviously I can't see it, and that switched off after a while to save battery power, I guess, but it's useful to initially set up a shot. GoPros are also really resilient. I have dropped my GoPros a number of times, including at speed on the bike onto a tarmac road, and they have been completely fine, although maybe that's why they break. No, they've been actually completely fine. GoPros are amazing. Depending on the model that you have as well, they can be waterproof. Like this one here is waterproof down to maybe like 10 or 20 meters, I forget, which means I can film in the rain and I can accidentally drop it into water, which I don't think has happened yet. But as I said, I always buy them secondhand, and this one also is quite glitchy. I don't know where it came from, what happened to it in its past life, but it often fails. And so that led me to buy gadget number 5, the Insta360 Pro Ace 2. What a mouthful. I bought this a couple of months ago, much like the Garmin Edge Explore 2, so I guess that was an expensive month. And I actually bought it new as it was on offer. Very exciting. I filmed a lot with this camera recently, but I actually haven't had time to get to grips with its major features, let alone the kind of finer points of how it can work, and from what I've read, it has an incredible capacity to do so many things, and I honestly just use it in its most basic fundamental way at the moment. I actually really wanted to use it to film this video right now, but I am in Slovenia currently and I forgot the little adapter thing that would allow me to use it with the kind of GoPro mount that I have with my tripod, so I can't use it to film this video right now because I don't have anything else to raise a camera onto. But that is a really good thing about the Insta360s. They were very smart and made it very easy for people who use GoPros to switch to this. They've basically created an adapter that allows you to use it with all of the GoPro mounts, or as at least I think all of them, because it has the same like 2-prong extrusion. What? I'm a massive fan of this camera. I love it. I really need to get to grips with it. But it also has this funky rear screen, which allows you to see yourself when you're filming, which is great. I do not use that when I'm cycling because I feel like if I dropped that in that thing when I'm cycling, that would be disastrous. In fact, I haven't dropped this at all. So hopefully I won't, but I also can't speak to its resilience, unlike a GoPro. I don't know how this would fare if I dropped it. I think quite well, because they're obviously designed to be action cameras and they're really learning from what GoPro has succeeded in and trying to build upon that and make it even better. So I imagine it's quite resilient, but TBD. So these are the cycling gadgets that I do not go on any ride without anymore, except if I'm going to, I don't know, the local supermarket or something. My favourite, if it's even possible to have favourites in this very varied bunch, has to be the Garmin Edge Explore 2. I just love it. I can't believe it took me so long to buy one. And it has such a phenomenal battery life. Although that might be saying something more about my ride lengths than its battery life. I can take it on 3 to 6 hour rides, and I might not even recharge it in between that ride and the next ride because its battery life is just always really reliable. I know there are some of you out there, if you're doing regularly 100, 200 kilometer rides in one day, I don't know how this is gonna fare. At the end of the day, it is a large screened, always on, colour, touch screen. So there are probably more battery efficient cycling computers out there. But then if you're riding 100, 200k rides, then you don't need me to tell you about bike computers. I hope you found this helpful or interesting or something, and you're obviously still watching, so thanks for that. But what I really want to know is what gadgets you use in your cycling adventures. Please tell me in the comments, and then we can all go, ooh, what should I buy next? See you in the next one.